In June 2026, the promise of India's higher education system fractured. Following massive paper leaks and grading irregularities in the national NEET medical exam, millions of Gen Z students suddenly found their academic futures derailed. The backlash materialized here at the historic Jantar Mantar Observatory in New Delhi. Led by a newly formed youth movement called the Cockroach Janta Party, alongside veteran student unions, thousands of young people occupied the streets. Their anger focused entirely on one figure, Union Education Minister Dharmender Pradhan. The protesters issued a singular, uncompromising demand for his immediate resignation. The demonstrations generated massive digital traffic. Hashtags trended for days, and awareness drives spread across the capital. But in the halls of the Union government, the protests were met with total silence. Digital outrage and physical sit-ins are easy to scroll past or wait out. Without acute political leverage, the state apparatus treats grassroots anger as temporary noise. To force an actual response, the students needed a way to escalate the stakes. On June 28th, the protesters deployed an older, much sharper tool of Indian resistance, the indefinite hunger strike. The tactical shift was catalyzed by Sonam Wangchuk, a highly prominent Ladakhi environmentalist and education activist. By declaring he would starve until Pradhan resigned, Wangchuk dragged the national media spotlight directly into the camp. But a few meters away from the flashing cameras, 3 PhD scholars from the All India Students Association, Neha, Manish, and Amin, quietly stopped eating alongside him. A celebrity fasting generates headlines, but politicians can easily dismiss it as a publicity stunt. The continuous, untelevised sacrifice of actual students provided the mechanical weight required to prove the movement's sincerity. Wangchuk's fame provided the visibility, but the students' deteriorating health provided the stakes. While the cameras were on the activist, the government's clock was being set by the scholars fasting beside him. By the 2-week mark, the news cycle had drifted to other stories, but the physical reality of starvation was compounding for the students living under the tarps. Without food, the body enters ketosis, cannibalizing fat and muscle. Medical volunteers recorded severe damage, plummeting blood pressure and bleeding gums, signaling acute liver strain. Over 3 weeks, the fasting scholars lost more than 12% of their body mass. A bureaucratic argument over an exam paper had been physically transcribed onto the failing bodies of these students. Their extreme biological deterioration became a ticking clock for the ruling government. On July 18th, day 21 of the fast, the state intervened. Following a leadership change, Delhi police swept into the camp, dismantled barricades, and forcefully removed a severely weakened Sonam Wangchuk to a public hospital against his will. Instead of dissolving the protest, the crackdown acted as a force multiplier. CJP leadership, outraged by the removal, immediately launched their own retaliatory fasts unto death to fill the vacuum. 2 days later, on July 20th, the tension boiled over. Defying police orders to disperse, thousands of Gen Z protesters mobilized for the Chalo Sansad March, aiming straight for the ultimate center of power, the Parliament House. The state responded with force to protect the monsoon session. Heavily armored Rapid Action Force personnel deployed tear gas and baton charges to repel the advancing crowds, resulting in injuries to over 100 police officers and dozens of students. By attempting to forcefully silence the most visible symbol of the protest, the state inadvertently poured gasoline on the fire. A stationary sit-in had erupted into a volatile national crisis. The violence of the July 20th march forced India's historically fractured political opposition to mobilize. Prominent leaders, including Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav, descended on Jantar Mantar to show solidarity. The visiting politicians and civil society leaders focused their attention on Neha, Manish, and Amin. Now 23 days into their fast, the scholars were surviving on saline water alone, teetering on the edge of hypovolemic shock. The delegation presented a crucial argument to the students. Ending the fast now would not be a surrender. Rather, as activist Yogendra Yadav explained to them, it was the necessary conclusion of this specific form of struggle. On paper, their primary demand remained unmet. Education Minister Dharmender Pradhan kept his job, and the government offered no formal response to the NEET leaks. While the minister remained in office, the strike achieved a rare shift in the political landscape. Rival parties, usually at odds, began coordinating their strategies specifically around the grievances of these student protesters. On day 23, the scholars transitioned their protest from a stationary fast to a broader campaign. The delegation of MPs and leaders left Jantar Mantar with a commitment to carry these student demands directly onto the floor of Parliament.